Right guys, let's talk about why your business is not growing. Okay, over the past 7 years or so, I've worked with hundreds and hundreds of coaches, consultants, course creators, other online service-based business owners. And it's probably close to 1,000 people now, right? And whenever somebody is struggling, I always see the same problems coming up again and again and again. And I always help them overcome the same problems again and again. So in the past 7 years, I've made about $6 million in coaching sales. Right now, in my current online coaching consulting business, I'm making anywhere between kind of 80 to 100 grand a month. Okay, in fact, I'll dive into my Stripe now. Right guys, so as you can see, look, if you look here, these are daily payouts inside Stripe. You can see this is the 21st of July, 18th, 17th, 17th, 16th, 15th, 14th. So these are daily payouts. You can see $1,000, $3,000, $2,000, £1,000, 5 grand, 3 grand, 500, 2 grand, 3 grand, 10 grand, 1.5, 2.5, 4, 3, 3, 6, 1, 3. So on average, this is like $3,000 a day, averaging anywhere between 80 to 100 grand a month. So I just wanted to dive in here, just show you guys that. I know not a lot of people do it. So just wanted to show that I'm not full of shit. Right, so there you have it, right? You know that I know what I'm talking about. And after helping all of these coaches and consultants overcome the problems that they've been facing, you begin to see trends. You begin to see trends. So if you are trying to grow an online coaching business and you're not getting clients, you're not getting any traction, you know what you've got to offer the world is powerful, you know that you can help people solve their problems, but you're just not making money, I'm gonna run you through why that probably is. And 1, 2, 3 of these things might apply to you. They probably apply to you, all right? So lock in, listen carefully. Don't be one of those neurotic ADD retards. Put your phone down, right? Watch it, take notes. Don't be texting, don't be scrolling Instagram. Just listen to what I'm about to tell you because this will help you out in a big, big way. So the first reason your business probably isn't growing is that you're relying on ineffective and outdated marketing methods, right? We're in 2025. We're not in 2018 anymore. You can't just set up a webinar funnel, run the webinar, and have tons and tons and tons of 1K sales coming in. It used to be that way, right? I've seen people do that. I've seen people crush it, but it doesn't happen that way anymore. You know, same as you can't just go into a Facebook group these days and do one of those little lead bait posts, like a 2-step post, and think that people are just going to come flooding into your inbox asking to work with you. It doesn't work that way anymore. Okay, the old ways of marketing are not working anymore. And this is actually good because what it means is there's now a barrier to entry, right? All of that old stuff like organic, you know, messaging people on Facebook, like that used to work, but what that meant was there was no barrier to entry, which basically means any moron can do it, right? But now in 2025, the market's more savvy. You know, your average person kind of knows something about marketing. You know, they know what a webinar is. They know when they hit that webinar, it's value disguised, or sorry, it's a pitch disguised as value. Okay, people are savvy to this stuff now. But this is actually good because it means if you can learn an actual marketing strategy, something that works, you have the upper hand over all of these morons who are doing the old stuff and not getting any results, okay? So I'm not gonna go deep into this on this particular video, but the best way to get clients right now is with a book funnel, a self-liquidating book funnel. So you write a book on your topic that kind of sells your method, and then you set the funnel up in a way where you can spend money getting book buyers and make that money back straight away. And this allows you to basically recycle your cash again and again and again. You acquire customers for free, and then you just have to ascend 1, 2, 3% of those people into your higher price programs to make a ton of money. It just makes sense, guys. If you haven't read my book, go down below. It's $5. If you don't love it, I'll give you your money back. I'm not trying to like sell this to you or push this on you, you know, to make money, all right? It will just help, because that book goes into way more detail than I could possibly go into on this video, right? And it will run you through that whole process. And then if you want to do it on your own, you can do it on your own. But just get the information, right? If there's a $5 book that I've written about how I made all my money, and you're not willing to risk $5, it's not even risk. I'll give you your money back, right? If you don't like it, but just go and get the book, read it, learn, and implement. That's what's most important, all right? But you have to skill up in 2025 if you're going to create the business you want and the life you want, okay? And the way to do that is to learn an effective marketing method that actually works, okay? Now, the second reason that you might be failing is that you're focusing on organic traffic instead of paid advertising, right? Now, a lot of people, when it comes to paid advertising, especially if you don't have much experience with it, people are like, oh, I don't want to lose money, like ads are expensive, I tried ads before and I didn't work. There's a bunch of different variables that go into that, but you were probably sending paid traffic into a system that didn't work, a system that didn't convert. And that obviously will lead to your ads not making you any money, and then you think ads don't work. But the simple fact is this, guys. Paid traffic is the only way to get traffic for your business that you can ramp up on demand. So let's say if you're currently getting clients by posting on social media and you're getting 2 clients a month, let's say. Well, if you want to double that to 4 clients a month, you can't just post twice as much, because you're not going to get twice as much traffic. In fact, this can actually hurt you, because the more you post, the more chance you'll have of posts that don't perform. And then this will actually feed back to Facebook, Instagram, whatever you're using, that people aren't engaging with your stuff, and your engagement and your reach will go down. You might have seen this before. If you have a social media profile or whatever, and you're just like, this is dead, like I'm posting all the time, but I'm just not getting any attention. This is why, right? If you basically spam post on social media, your engagement will actually drop. It won't go up, right? So you can't turn up the dial on organic traffic. But with paid traffic, if you understand how to set up a funnel properly, I recommend the Bookfunnel, like I mentioned. If you have a working Bookfunnel where you can put $1 in and get $2 out, then you can just ramp it up. So if you're making $5,000 a month, you can spend twice as much and you can make $10,000 a month. Then you can spend twice as much and you can make $20,000 a month. It becomes so easy, right? Obviously there's a point of diminishing returns. You know, you can't just spend $10 million a month and expect to make $20 million a month, right? Like, it does reach a point of diminishing returns. But let me tell you, $20,000 a month, $30,000 a month is nowhere near that point of diminishing returns, okay? Nowhere near it. You can scale way beyond that as long as you use paid traffic, all right? Now, the third reason you might fail, and this kind of ties into the previous two, is just not having a reliable lead generation system for your business. And ideally, you want it to be automated, all right? Because you only have a certain number of hours in the day. So if your lead generation is requiring you to be at your desk, to be at your keyboard, to message people, to hustle, this is all taking up your time. And you can only work a certain amount of time. And I don't know about you, but I don't want to work 14 hours a day trying to generate leads. I don't want to work 10 hours a day trying to generate leads. You know, right now I'm working like maybe 2 hours a day, sometimes 3, you know, if I take a call or whatever. But this can only be achieved by having streamlined lead generation systems that are automated. And again, this ties into the first 2 points, because the Bookfunnel's automated and it runs by itself. And then ads are obviously on automation and they run by themselves. So if you're not getting any clients, it's probably because you're focusing on manual ways of getting leads. And it just doesn't work, guys. Especially if you want to get above 5, 10 grand a month, right? It just doesn't work. Now, the fourth thing that you might be doing wrong is actually pricing your services incorrectly. Okay, now I see a lot of people, they're pricing their products and their programs too low. And this is usually through either just ignorance, which isn't a bad thing, right? We're all ignorant when we start our business, like you don't know what you don't know. So it's either through ignorance or it's through a lack of confidence. They don't feel like they're worth that much. But let me tell you, if you're good at what you do, you're probably undercharging, unless you're crushing it. If you're making 50 grand a month, 100 grand a month, then, I can't fault you in that sense. But if you're making like 5 grand a month, 10 grand a month, and you want to make way more, but you're just not for whatever reason, you're probably undercharging. Because I don't know many people who are charging 5 grand and they're only making 5 grand a month. Like they're usually making more. The people making 5 grand a month are the ones who are charging $500, $1,000. You can't be charging that, okay? Not for like a legitimately good consulting offer. You can't be charging that. You should be charging at least 3 grand. I can't even tell you the number of people, the number of clients I've worked with where they've come in, they're charging $500. I tell them straight off the bat, charge 3 grand, here's how you're gonna pitch it. And then they come back to me the following month and they've done 20 grand, 30 grand in 1 month. I've literally lost count. One of my clients, Farah, she's a women's health coach. When she came to me, this is a couple of years ago, when she initially came to me, it was on New Year's Eve, right? And I was chatting to her on New Year's Eve. I was about to go out for dinner. She was about to go out for dinner. And she was charging £87 a month, which is probably like $110, $120 a month, right? And she was making, I think she was making a couple of grand a month. And I helped her kind of rejig that offer. We went from charging £87 a month to £3,200 a month. Actually, I think we went 2,600, then we bumped it up again. So that's about $3,200. £2,600 is about $3,200. Then we bumped it up to £3,200, which is maybe $3,800, right? And she ramped all the way up to 30, 40 grand a month, like quick time, right? And the reason for this is, not only will you get better clients at that price point, which means you'll get them better results, which means you'll have more feedback, right, for your business and testimonials and things like that. But also, when you increase your price point, it just works wonders for margin, profit margin, right? Because you have to have resources to grow your business, Like if you're making 2 grand a month, like, yeah, it might be organic, it might be free, it might not be costing you anything or whatever, but 2 grand's 2 grand. Like what the fuck are you gonna do with 2 grand? If you were smart, you put a grand back in, but most people don't. Most people who are making 2 grand and you have to live off it, you can't just plow it all back into your business, right? So when you bump your prices up and you get to 10 grand, 15 grand, 20 grand, I don't know about you, but if I make 20 grand, I'm happy to put 5 grand back in. And that's how you start that snowball effect, right? So pricing is kind of like, it's one of those quiet, underestimated factors that will have a massive impact in your business because it allows you to put money into ads and it allows you to hire, okay? Now, reason number 5 is you might be lacking authority positioning. You might not be positioned as an authority in your space. So, for example, if you look around you and you see a ton of other people doing what you're doing, and you just think to yourself like, I am just lost in the noise, this is probably your problem, all right? You're not an authority, you're just another person selling just another generic thing. And this is where, going back to the book method, this is one of the number 1 perks of the book method. Because who has a book that doesn't know their stuff, right? If you look at the heavy hitters in any space, if you look at sales, you've got Jordan Belfort, you've got Grant Cardone. If you look in personal development, you've got Tony Robbins, Jim Rohn, Brian Tracy, guys like that. If you look in the health space, I don't know many health influencers, right? But they all have books, okay? They all have books. In every space, they'll have some form of book because a book positions you as an authority. Even Jesus had a book, right? That's what I always say. Even Jesus had a book. Best-selling book of all time, the Bible, okay? That is how you position yourself as an authority, because people only write books if they're leaders. And there's like an innate positioning that's involved with writing a book. Like if you write a book on a topic and someone buys that and they're reading it and they're learning from you, it just positions you as a leader, okay? And that is a massive thing when it comes to getting clients, all right? Number 6, you are probably lacking systems to scale, meaning you don't have the right team around you and you're doing everything yourself. So it's important to understand, as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, you're the organizer. That's how you want to look at it, is you're the organizer and you put people in the right positions to get the work done. You don't want to be the one doing all the work. So if you're spending all of your time like building funnels, writing copy, writing emails, setting up ads, all this kind of stuff, it doesn't allow you to scale. You're going to be taking up all your time and you're going to have the least leverage. Okay? Think about it. If you spend, let's just say you spend 5 hours a week on content, right? And then you hire that out to someone else. They're now spending 5 hours a week doing it and you're spending 0 hours a week doing it. Okay? Naturally, you've just acquired 5 hours out of nowhere. Now, let's say you did that 100 times. Now you only have 40 hours in, let's say, a regular work week, or 168 hours in an entire week. But now you have 500 hours of manpower working for you. Obviously, this is just an example. I'm not saying you have to go out and hire 100 people, okay? But even if you hire 2, 3, 4 people, they can have more output than you could ever have on your own, and they free up all of your time as well. All right, so you have to make sure that you have the systems in place to scale. Otherwise, you're bogged down doing all the stuff with no leverage, with very little manpower, which naturally, less inputs lead to less outputs, right? So you're not going to get massive results if you're doing everything on your own. So you have to systematize things to scale, okay? And the last one, point number, I think we're on number 7, all right? I didn't plan this out properly. I planned it out in my head, so I didn't know how many points there were going to be, but I'm gonna finish it here. Point number 7 is you're not implementing what you're learning, okay? Learning stuff about growing your business, if you go over the top with it, which I know I did, like in my first year or so of running my business, I was just constantly like watching YouTube videos, courses, which isn't bad as such, but the problem with that is most of the stuff you learn isn't going to work for you. Most of the stuff you learn isn't going to apply to you, all right? And you have no way of differentiating what works and what doesn't, because when you don't know what you don't know, everything sounds interesting. Every strategy sounds great, yeah? Every idea seems like a good idea, right? And you don't know how to differentiate. And this kind of like compulsive learning can become a form of like, mental masturbation, like educational masturbation, where you just become hooked on learning and you're not actually implementing what you learn, right? So what I would recommend is just find 1 or 2 people, right? If I'm one of those people, then I'm honored, thank you, but it doesn't have to be me. It could be someone else. Just find someone whose content resonates, whose strategy makes sense, and just focus on everything they teach. Don't go from person to person to person to learning all this kind of stuff, because what happens, you don't implement any of it. If I was trying to learn webinars and product launches and challenges and books and this and that, it's impossible to implement it all. And if I were to even try and implement it all, I wouldn't get anywhere. I just have a bunch of half-built bridges, when what you really need is you want one fully built bridge, and that will allow you to get over to where you're trying to get to, all right? So that's super important. Make sure you implement what you learn. That's the benefit a lot of the time, in my experience, from having a coach, from having a mentor, is they can just tell you like a few things that you have to work on, And then you can block out the noise and you can just focus on those and don't focus on anything else. That's how I got results, okay? And that's how you'll get results. So anyway, guys, that's everything for this video. Like I say in all my videos, I never know how to end these, all right? Like the channel, like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so you don't miss any videos. Then if you go down in the description, I've got some good stuff for you. If you want to grab a copy of my book, I'll put a free training down there. If you want to chat to me and have me help you implement the book method in your business, you'll be able to schedule a call as well. And hopefully I can help you. If not, go to the next video. Watch some more of my stuff, okay? Because it will be super helpful for you. Like I said before, I'm working 2 or 3 hours a day at the moment. So I started making YouTube videos because I literally have nothing else to do. So I just want to help you grow your business, okay? Catch you on the next one. Take care.